My name's Daniel Coates, Suntara. This is Joshua Tree. And we're going to take you on what's called a sound journey today, or sound healing journey. Hands up here if you've ever done a sound healing before. Wow, quite a few of you. That's good. So before we start, I want to tell you a story that really illustrates the power of sound. Okay? It was 11 years ago. I was working as an IT consultant in London, working at Credit Suisse. And what I used to do is I'd go and do a contract in London, then I'd go travelling for a year, and then go back and do another contract. And I did that quite a few times. And this particular year, 2006, I was really over being an IT consultant, completely over the office. And I knew there was some sort of deeper calling that I had that was drawing me to something else. But that particular time in 2006, I was struggling to deal with being in the office. So what I did was I was looking for something that I could do that would help me clear the stress, clear the negativity of doing something that I didn't want to be doing. So I thought I'll do some singing, because singing's my medicine. Singing's what makes me feel great. So I went online and I was looking for my singing teacher that I had had in London 4 years prior in 2002. And when I went on the internet to try and find Heather, my singing teacher, up came someone else's website. And it was a guy called Alexander Massey, who's an opera singer. And I also knew him, so I obviously just got their websites mixed up. And when I saw Alexander's website, the opera singer, I saw that he had a workshop on his homepage called Dream Sounding. And the description of the workshop was that he was going to sing over our bodies with his opera voice for an hour and a half. And I thought, oh, that sounds like just what I need. So I went along to this workshop. There was about 10 of us there. We all lay down. And Alexander came out with his shamanic drum, a bit like this one I got on the ground here. And he chanted over our bodies with his massive booming opera voice for an hour and a half. Now, I got so relaxed. I wasn't expecting that. I got so relaxed. I was an IT contractor, right? I got so relaxed, and the negativity and the stress that I was holding on to from working in this job was cleared away in that evening session. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And I went out of that session, I felt so good, I felt so happy. My mind had gone still. I had none of this negative chatter happening. I went out of there and I was still and clear, and that still small voice within that Raylene was talking about I could hear it. So 2 weeks later, so I was able to go to work, and the next day, and I felt great, and I was able to handle being in the office, and I felt relaxed. But after about 2 weeks, London started to get back on top of me again. The tube travel and all that. But Alexander had another workshop. So I was able to go along, and once again he came out with his shamanic drum and chanted and sang over us for an hour and a half. And this second time round, it had the same effect. Cleared all the negativity, cleared all the stress. I got really relaxed, and I was able to go to work, and I felt good. I felt really good and clear. And then I took a week off work and I went up to a place in Scotland called Findhorn. Has anyone heard of Findhorn? Yeah? Cool. Findhorn's this amazing place in Scotland. It's an eco-village, permaculture place where you can go and do courses. And so I went to Findhorn and did what's called Experience Week. And I was in a group of about 25 people on this Experience Week. And the first day I was on that course, I met a beautiful young lady from Venezuela. And we had a real connection, a real heart connection. And so we spent that week at Findhorn getting to know each other, planting trees together, working in the organic gardens, and we had a great time. And at the end of that week, she was working in London, so it was good because I worked in London too, so we could get together. So at the end of that week, we were heading home to London, and I said to her, when we get back to London, I'll call you. And when we got back to London, Guess what I did? I didn't call her. I didn't call her because you know why? This little voice got in and it was saying, you know, she's so beautiful, man. She's too good for you. She doesn't like you. Does anyone know that voice that gets in sometime? And it was saying, oh, you're from Australia, man, and she's from Venezuela. Don't go starting something here. So I listened to that voice, and I didn't call her, and 2.5 months passed, and I hadn't called her, I hadn't emailed her, I hadn't texted her, nothing. So as far as she was concerned, I must have just dropped off the face of the earth. And then, on a whim, I just decided to call Alexander, the opera singing sound healer guy. So I called him up and I booked in a one-on-one session with him. So I went out to Oxford where he lived and I went into his healing room and I laid down and it was just him and me and his opera voice. He chanted over my body for an hour and a half. And this one was ultra powerful because it was just me and him. And I got off the mat, stood up and I left his place and I just felt incredible. I felt so happy. He'd shifted so much negativity out of me. I just felt so light. And then I left his house and went to Oxford train station to go back to London. And in that moment, I pulled out my phone and I called her. And now we've been married for 10 years. She's standing over here in the yellow top. This is my wife, Rosarmi. And we've been married for 10 years now. We've got twin 8-year-olds. We've actually been living on the road for 15 months, travelling around with my sound healing around Australia. So I tell that story because it illustrates in a very personal way, in a very, simple terms, how powerful sound can be. So ever since that happened, I've been very passionate about this. So today, as every other time that I do a sound healing journey, it's my intention that you have a similar experience where the sound comes through. As Raylene was saying, we are vibration. Sound is vibration. So just allow the sound to connect with you. Allow the sound to wash over you and wash through you. And maybe there's an area of your life where you feel like you want to shift something out of the way or you feel like you're in your own way. Set an intention for this session for something to be blown out of the way. Or maybe you've got some physical pain or something going on. You can set an intention for this sound healing to help you in some way. So we're going to start. I invite you, if you like, to lay down on the ground if you want to. That's highly recommended. There's a lot of space on the sides there, a lot of space up the back. And just allow the sound to